Hello and welcome, Gummers, to another episode of Fergie's Gum. My name's Nathan Irvine and I am joined by Mr. Paul Cropper. I will get to you in a second, sir, but we have got a lot to get through in this episode. We have got so much to talk about. We've got the World Cup stuff as United players head home. We're talking about the players that Manchester United are trying to sign and haven't signed, with Tonali and Matheus Fernandes going elsewhere. We're going to look at new midfield targets, which has just popped up recently on the rumour mill. There's another round of overrated, underrated, where I assume Mr. Paul Cropper has got that person. He's nodding, so I do believe he's done that this week. And we wonder where Manchester United would be with a certain star striker in their ranks. But all of that is to come. We are going to start with the World Cup, mate. Let's start with the World Cup because Messrs. Cunha, Ahmad, Bruno Fernandes and Diogo Dalot are all coming home because they're all out of the World Cup. Happy with that?
Oh yeah, of course I am. Yeah, get on. I'm enjoying it. The World Cup. A lot of people are like get a bit of a downer on it. I think it's brilliant. Love a World Cup and catch up on the highlights in the morning's a bit annoying. You'd rather watch the full games, but some of them are brilliant. Did you watch the England game live?
I did, yes. I was up at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
So it worked out perfectly because it was supposed to kick off at 4 o'clock in the morning here, but it was delayed by that 1 hour. I got up at 5 o'clock, went to take the dog out, saw that the game was still on or was just about to kick off. I was like, all right, I'll wait a little bit longer.
Oh, how about that?
The dog can pee in the house. So I ended up watching it. Yeah, great game. I'm enjoying the World Cup as well. I think it took a long time to get going. I think the group stages, it was just a bit much. I think just too many teams. But anyway, enough about that. Let's talk about the actual players that are coming home. So we've got Cunha's coming back. How would you rate his World Cup? Do you think he had a good one?
7. No, he did all right. I noticed he got brought off quite a lot, didn't he? And the Brazilians have got a lot of options, haven't they, going forward? And he played the number 9, didn't he, up front? He's never been convincing there, has he? Let's be honest. He scored a few goals. He will score goals, but he's never been fully convincing as a striker.
I'm pretty sure we've got a clip where we're saying that he's a good option for the false 9 for United next season.
Yeah, I know. Well, who else is there?
Yeah, exactly. We'll get onto that later. Yeah, I think he faded quite badly during the World Cup, but I do think Brazil are a very ordinary team right now. I don't think they're as special or there's a mystique around them as they used to be back in the day. I think they're just a solid side. That side,
Agreed.
Carlo Ancelotti needs to be managing an Italian side, not Brazil, because that's how they're set up. And I just don't think they've got enough going forward. I know you said
what I
they've
did
got
like?
lots of options.
Yeah. Do you know what I did like? Ancelotti singing the national anthem like he was born in Brazil. Brilliant. So go on.
Yeah.
You don't often see that, do you?
Did you see the photos of him like at the Rio de Janeiro parade? I think he was there for the parade before the World Cup, obviously, when he just signed. Big cigar.
Oh yeah, can you imagine it?
Oh, he's loving it.
Yeah,
he was loving
brilliant.
life.
Honorary Brazilian.
Yeah, exactly.
We tend to put Brazil on some sort of pedestal, don't we? Of them being they're not nowhere near that, are they? That they were.
Not anymore. So. Not anymore. It was upsetting to see Casemiro crying, but you know he's no longer a Manchester United player. So there you go.
Crying every week. Calm down now.
Diogo Dalot didn't really play that much for Portugal. I thought Portugal as a whole had a very disappointing World Cup. Bruno Fernandes, again, not really utilised. Came under fire a lot for not passing to Ronaldo, which, again, when you're a CR7 fan, there is only Ronaldo and there's no team. He's basically just looking after the individual. So it's a bit of a weird one. And Ahmad coming back as well. I thought he had a decent World Cup. Thought he was okay. But it's just pre-season starts this week, as in training. There's no friendlies until the day before the World Cup final on July 18th. But for me, you look at the Agate thing and he got injured, a very serious injury. Wish him all the best for a speedy recovery. But I'm just glad that those 4 players that are coming back are unscathed. That's all I care about. Even with Kobbie Mainoo. If you want to stay on the bench, if you're going to keep him on the bench, fine. Do it all tournament so that he's absolutely fine. because I don't want him coming
Just
back and getting injured.
don't want him celebrating and falling off a Harden and breaking your arm. So what sort of idiot would do that, eh?
Unreal. Unreal.
Yeah.
Jordan
Yeah.
Henderson. He got a booking, he broke his wrist, and he didn't even get on the pitch. So, yeah.
There's a
What a
heat
game.
map picturing going around just like a dead body at the bottom of the pitch. Brilliant.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it'd be good to have the lads back. They're back on the 9th, aren't they? I believe Bumo's already back training.
Yeah.
Good to see. He looks a bit keen.
Yep.
I don't think any of the United lads will be like, "Oh, I've had a great World Cup. I deserve this amount of time." I can see them getting back and being like, "Right, I'm raring to go now." Hopefully, that's what we want. Get 'em back in the building, back to training, heads back on in the red shirt.
Exactly. Well, there's one person that may or may not be in a red shirt next season, and it's someone that's currently, well, they've just gone out of the World Cup as well. But there's a really strange feeling around the Edison deal at the moment. I don't know if you've been seeing these same reports that I have, but one of the rumors that has been widely publicized is that he failed his New York medical for Manchester United because they set one up. Because before he was selected, someone got injured. I can't remember. Someone got injured and he got called up, didn't he, as a late
Yes,
call.
that's right.
But anyway, before that, he was supposed to travel to Manchester, have his medical, sign on the dotted line, and everything was going to be done. Instead, he went to the United States to team up with the Brazil squad. Did a medical in New York at a facility there, and apparently something came up. I don't know the ins and outs of this, but this is the rumor. He may not have come through that in entirely good nick, should I say. So they're waiting this week, apparently. Fees agreed, wages are agreed, but he's still not passed the medical where they can go, right, we're going to sign it off. So that apparently is where the holdup is at the moment.
Yeah, it was a bit cloak and dagger on it. I'm just trying to Google his injury history, but it just came from nowhere, didn't it? Because we were led to believe all it needs to do is sign, done, and then there was this report. It's not 100% done, and you go, oh, where's that come from? But then 4 or 5 places came out with the same thing, and then you start going, right. So we've not even signed a centre midfielder, not one, when we need 6 of them. Brilliant. Let's all start again, start transfer window all over again. But then it was like all of a sudden it was like, no, don't worry, it's just this and that. But I've heard the same thing about this, him failing the medical as well, and you kind of go, well, that's worrying. Why has it not been done? Because other teams are signing players that are at the World Cup. They're getting the medicals done. They're getting them to sign, and they've done. So yeah, it's a bit worrying for me because we've not had any confirmation either way, have we? And we don't want this midfield signing to fall through either, do we? Somebody else will snap him up.
Yeah, exactly. Spurs probably. This is probably a good segue now. If we just take a little break here from the World Cup updates and then move into who are United going to sign and why are things taking so long? So the big question on everyone's lips, including ours and every single Manchester United fan, and even people that aren't Manchester United fans, why are Manchester United taking so long to sign players right now? As you said in the last segment, everyone else seems to be making signings with players that are currently at the World Cup. Elliot Anderson has just completed his medical and signed 116 million at Manchester City, which is, he was one of Manchester United's main targets. They don't seem to be in a rush to get any of these deals over the line, which is, there's 2 ways of looking at it. Either A, all of their plans have gone up in smoke because they've gone to different clubs who are offering higher salaries and higher fees, higher payments, sorry. Or they're taking their time to get the right players that definitely want to play for Manchester United, because Matheus Fernandes claimed that he did want to play for Manchester United and then he went to Spurs. And the cheeky sod even said that his idol in football is Bruno Fernandes. I don't know if you saw Sandro Tonali's first. I think what was it that he did? So he did 2 things. The first thing that he did before he'd signed on the dotted line was say, if there's an opportunity to go back to AC Milan in the future, I'm going to take it, which is not great.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Especially when you're about to sign that player. Second thing is, he said the best thing about Spurs is the stadium, and the fact that they can fill it with fans. Mate, come on. Do you get your agent to just write up something about the history of the club? Don't talk about a brand new stadium.
History.
That just thinks to me,
Spurs,
it's just it's
Spurs
money in it.
history.
It's money in it.
Yeah,
It's money.
Spurs don't have
Let's
history,
be
mate.
honest.
Do they? It is money. That's what it boils down to, isn't it? For some of these
But
lads.
do
Yeah.
you so with this delay that's going on at the moment then, do you think it's any more than United are just skint and they just can't compete on salaries and transfer fees?
I think that's got a part to do with it, mate. I don't think it's a big percentage. I've been racking my brains because you kind of like, oh, we're going to get some at this week, and then the ball starts to get rolling on something, then it just falls through, and then. But this has happened to Tonali, Matheus Fernandez. It it's happened. It seems to be happening quite a lot. Then Elliot Anderson's obviously the main one when he was your main target. So I'm caught between United have been caught out with the proficientness. Is that the right word? They've been
Efficiency.
efficiency of other clubs who are just going in and going, right, maybe they didn't think Spurs had the chance or the money to go and buy these players.
Mm.
And now they've just been caught out thinking, oh, we'll hold off with West Ham. We can play a long game. We'll wait till the end of the transfer window. We've got you say, and the Spurs are just coming in and going, no, Wallop, there you go. There's the money. United are going, oh, wow. Now they're caught off. Or I know they brought in this new data system, didn't they? This system, and I've been reading about that a bit where they don't want to focus on the big names. They're trying to focus more on these players that excel in the data side of it. So whether they're gathering information with your mate, the scout, and saying, do the align? Are these the sort of players we want? You can't wait all transfer window, though, can you? And just be like, because everyone will be gone. And then you're
Yeah.
scraping around, because we do need players. We spoke about the positions that we need, especially in midfield. But how long do you leave it until all of the players that you hit are good enough and at the top of this data thing, till they're all gone? We've seen it a few transfer windows where we're like, we're linked with this guy, linked with this guy, and then he goes somewhere else. And you can't
Mm.
wait around. You have to be. I understand getting all your data in line, getting all your ducks in a row, and then go for the player. But we seem to do that with Matheus Fernandez, and they still didn't pull the trigger, did they? I know there was talk of, oh, we feel like we were going to get outbid no matter what we did. But if you bid the same amount of money as Spurs, and Spurs go another 5 million, if you really want that player, you go and do it. So it all, I'll bring it back now. It aligns to me. United weren't fully 100% in on Matheus Fernandez. Same with Tonali.
I think you're probably right about that. It does smack of they had a list of their top targets. So they had their A list, which we've talked about before, the tier one list, which would have been Elliot Anderson. It would have been Matheus Fernandez, probably a little bit lower than
Mhm.
Elliot Anderson. And then
Tonali was
Tonali
up
was
there though, wasn't
probably, yeah. So Tonali was in there as well. You know, eventually Spurs are going to pay around about 100 million for him in the
he?
future. It's not guaranteed that it's 100 now, but it could be around 100 million that they pay for him. Spurs, they've got money. They've got money to spend. We've got the Glazers. We spoke about this before. This is why we can't spend money. They've never serviced the debt. They've always just took money out of the club and lined their own pockets. And finally, it's bit Manchester United in the backside, where Ineos are in there now going, well, we can only play within these boundaries. If we want to be sustainable in the future, we can't spend 300 grand on salaries anymore per week. We can't have another Marcus Rashford situation. We can't have David De Gea going in to speak to the manager and going, well, you've just signed Alexis Sanchez. I want to match that salary that he's on, and then getting a massive bump in it. And that would have happened with Matheus Fernandez. He's making over 200 grand there, which is absolute madness. Conor Gallagher's on over £200,000 a week at Spurs. And United have got this policy at the moment. They're trying not to hit that ceiling of 200,000 again. In fact, they want to do 150,000 for the new players coming in, which is a hell of a lot of money. And I understand that agents need to do their thing and they need to get the best deal for them and the best deal for their client, secure their future. Football career is only very short, so they need to make as much money as possible. But I feel like United, if there's a big player out there and you need to pay over the odds to get them because they're going to change your future, I think you have to do it. And I think we said this like a few months before the end of the season. They needed to go for Elliot Anderson and they needed to go all out. They really needed to get him. If they thought he was the player, and you were saying before about my friend, he's not literally my friend, but he's a friend of a co-host. Sorry, he's a friend of the host of the radio show I work on, Carl McCauley, who's their head of scouting at Manchester United. I'm fairly certain all the data points were that he was top. I'm fairly certain they said he had the potential to be like a Steven Gerrard for Manchester United.
Yes.
And he does have that potential, and he's got a huge ceiling on him. Like, he's really high. But the one thing that I know you're keen to chip in, but just going back to your data point there when you was talking about bringing all these people in to look at the data. It's a little bit like the Moneyball system, which is, very famous. If you never watched the movie or read the book, it's about how the Oakland A's essentially went, we're not signing big players anymore. We're going to sign people that can do these certain jobs in a squad. And that was it. That's what they went for. And that's how they won a championship, the first one in decades or whatever it was. Manchester United seemed to be adopting something similar because Carl McCauley was part of that at Brighton. And that's, he was there with Graham Potter, and that was what they wanted to do. Under Tony Bloom, they had the backing to do that as well, and the patience to do it. Mike Sansoni, I'll get that name right, Mike Sansoni, from the Mercedes F1 team, was brought in probably about a year ago today as a data manager. So he was going to be looking at analytics. He's going to be looking at what players could do, current team and future targets. And then it would all come down into this big spreadsheet of, right, this guy can do this, 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 and this. They're not superstars. And we'll talk about the targets in a second. They're not superstars, but these are the players. And I get it. I understand. I mean, Sansoni never had any football experience at all. He'd worked 11 years in F1, but he's come in to do this job. So I don't know if that's going to work. We'll soon find out. But one thing I did want to say, are Manchester United too big of a club to adopt a style of recruitment like Brighton and Brentford?
It's a question, isn't it? I just wanted to say, because I had my finger up, then this probably aligns with what you're asking. I think we need to have a rethink about United fans, and if we're not willing to pay these wages, we're not willing to, to get these superstars, to get them in through the door, we have to realise we're not eating at the top table anymore. We're just not there, and that's frustrating as a United fan, because the club won't pay it. They're not going to pay, like you say, the same limit I've seen, 150,000. You're not getting the likes of Haaland, Jude Bellingham, Vinicius Jr. These superstars we're not going to get to see them at Old Trafford anymore. We're going to see potential. And I don't think United fans will be happy with United. You should have the best players in the world wanting to come to Manchester United. I understand you have to look at the wage structure, and you can't be breaking it for people that are average, i.e. Marcus Rashford, i.e. Alexis Sanchez. But if you want superstars, you have to pay them. Otherwise, you're just not going to get them. And we're going to end up with Tyler Adams. These are the type of players that we're going to end up with. We're going to end up with.
We'll come on to the targets. We'll come on to the targets in a second in Cropper's Transfer Corner. We'll do that straight after.
When you look at the analytics and the numbers, this is why they like him, isn't it? His name popped up, and we were like, 6 months ago, like, really? Tyler Adams? But if you look at the story of it, it's because he excels in all of these numbers and all of the figures. But us as football fans go, Tyler Adams? Really? Is that where we are as a club now? As if we are that top 4 Champions League, going for titles and things like that, they're out of the question. If City are going buying Anderson and we're going buying the likes of these lads who are good on numbers, trust me, we're not going to stand up in the league at all. We won't be anywhere near. It's worrying for me, Nathan. Going back to your question, just repeat your question, because I completely forgot it when I was talking.
I knew. I was like, has he got the recall to remember what that initial question was? Because I don't think he has.
No, right, he hasn't.
Okay. So I know fans wouldn't accept it, but can Manchester United become the new Brighton or Brentford in terms of their recruitment?
No, it's not good enough. That's what no, it's not good enough for Manchester United. We're too big of a club to be shopping at Lidl. We should be at Harrods. Mate. Lidl's all right, isn't it? Aldi, we'll go Aldi. Netso. Do you remember Netso? What about Netso? Yeah. That random middle aisle where you get Tyler Adams off the shelf. No, it's not good enough for United, is it? If you are one of the biggest clubs in the world, in my opinion, you should go and act like it. And the best place you can act like it is in a transfer window. And I feel like this United are not acting like one of the biggest clubs in the world. I feel like we're acting like penny pinchers. And that is probably a reflection of where we're at now, because all the big lads are gone.
So just to play devil's advocate with that, if they are skin and if Manchester United, if you wouldn't accept them becoming like a Brighton, I'm not saying that Manchester United needs to turn into a selling club. What I mean is that they find their own diamonds and then they make them into the players that they need them to do. We've never. It's been a long time since we bought a player and made them better, if that makes sense. I think we bought a lot of players that have come in and fit in, but it's been a long time since we've made our player better at the club. Would you look at someone like, because we're talking about transfers shortly, but someone like Seki Kone, someone like Jim Thwaites, someone like the Fletcher brothers, picking up the slack on something like that and trying to mold them into the Manchester United player that you want. Those types of players that you would go out and spend 100 million on, are there people within the academy or players within the academy that you can then bring on so you don't have to go out and spend 100 million? Would that not be the better approach to it?
No, I feel like you need a mixture of the two, Nathan. It's a lot to ask a young lad to come in and just say, right, I need you to be that £100 million player. No, they need time and they need confidence, and they need to be playing alongside these superstars. So I feel like you have to integrate the pair of them. No is my answer for that. I feel like you go and get the best players in the league, the best players in the world, and then you bring the kids to play alongside them. Not use the kids to replace them and save yourself some money. When's the last time? I know we're talking about Brighton. When did they win the league? When have they won anything? You can't act like them, otherwise that's the club you're going to turn into. No, you have to act like what you are, one of the biggest clubs in the world, and we're not acting like that.
I would say though, in an argument against that, look how much Liverpool spent last year and look where they finished. So it doesn't always work. It has to be spent wisely and it has to be spent on the right players. But I think just to your point, and I think you make a good point, if they knew, and they did, they knew that they needed a midfielder to replace Casemiro, and they needed one since before Casemiro joined. If 116 million was the price to pay for that midfielder, you have to go and pay that price for that midfielder. You can't, and this is the thing that I wanted to say as well. This now feels like a convenient excuse. The reason they're bringing out this data model, but we only want players that want to play for us. They're desperate to play for us, regardless of money, whatever it is. We only want players that they're not swayed by money. They're just about playing for Manchester United. If it was just about that and the data side of it, we'd have known that long ago. The fact that Manchester United tried to pay 100 million for Carlos Baleba last summer suggests that this now is a convenient thing to use as the fans are going mental. They've done a lot of good in Ineos, and I don't want them to break the bank because we're in a bad position because they did break the bank on things. But if there is one player that you need that you feel like is going to change the whole script on things, then you have to go out and get them. I'm in agreement with you. If you're a big club, you go and get that player because you don't sit around and wait for it. So we've been talking about it pretty much since we started this show about the Manchester United's targets. I think the tier 1 list has now disappeared with Tonali, Matheus Fernandes, and Elliot Anderson leaving. However, there is one, possibly two, that are in Spain that are currently at Real Madrid and could turn into a big, long, and protracted chase over the summer. It could be the new Frankie de Jong, mate. But the word is that Tchouaméni is happy at Real Madrid, does not want to move. However, that could change if Real Madrid suddenly decide we don't want him anymore. And the same for Eduardo Camavinga as well. Now, those two, I mean, I think you'll agree with me. If we're talking about tier one midfielders that you go all out for and that you spend over the 250 grand a week on, it's got to be those two, right?
That you've just nailed. You just put nail on the head. Yeah, you've just done that because
Yeah.
I've just literally just been reading. Yes, you're right. They are tier one midfielders, Champions League level midfielders, proven, world class, what we need. But I've just been reading there that they both have to take a pay cut to join United, and they're not going to do that. So no, but I can see the stories. You're right. It'll probably be a Frankie De Jong thing. He'll be like, well, I don't want to leave. I'm all right. I'm happy here. And United will, oh, come for 150 grand a week. About no, I don't want it. And we'll do that all transfer window, and then we'll end up looking somewhere else because I just find it ridiculous. If like you say, top level player, world class, in my opinion, Tchouaméni is probably a better six than your likes of Anderson and Tonali. He's probably a better fit for what Manchester United need. But we're just not going to pay him the money. So it's going to be a long, drawn-out process of the same old, same old. Frustrating for me, Nathan, because he is perfect. But what do you do? They
Is this
Ineos
the
have backed
one?
themselves into a big Tchouaméni shaped hole, haven't they? Where they're backing themselves
Tchouaméni.
I can't say it anyway. They're backing
Have a
themselves
go.
into a
Tchouaméni.
corner. Tchouaméni. I've just noticed that
There
you've
we go.
actually spelt it right. You spelt it right on the message you sent me, and I had a little chuckle because I don't spell it right or say it right. But they are backing themselves into a corner where they're forcing themselves to have to go and pay him the money that they need or walk away, aren't they? Because there's not many other options now. If you've got 6 or 7 options, you can go, well, we can have this lad instead of you. But now him and his agent will be going, well, I'm your only option, aren't I?
That is the major issue now. Everyone knows that Manchester United need a midfielder. I'm pretty sure they've always known that we've needed a midfielder since Roy Keane retired, or well, since Roy Keane was booted out of Old Trafford, should I say? Since Carrick retired. But that's going to be the difficult thing now. And also Tonali going for almost 100 million, who's won nothing, and then he's a League Cup. I think has he won a League Cup? Maybe
Does that
FA
count?
Cup. I guess so. I guess that puts you up to 100 million. Elliot Anderson, he's won nothing as well, and he's 116 million. So if you're Real Madrid, you're not just going to go, oh yeah, 70 mil. There you go, off you go, out you go, Tchouaméni. There you go. It has to be, and you said this the other day. They need the green light that there's a possibility that A, Real Madrid will sell him, and B, he's willing to come to Manchester United on the terms that they suggest. Now, I think Tchouaméni will be above and beyond. I think they've had their fingers burnt with the Matheus Fernandes thing, and I think they need to know now that Tchouaméni coming in, playing for France at the World Cup, Champions League winner, you can say to the rest of the squad, he's justified to be on 250 a week. I think you can do that, or 300, whatever it is. You can say, look, it's non-competitive. You can't go up to that level. Maybe only Bruno's probably got a case to be able to say that. But Tchouaméni comes in and you go, right, there we go. This is what we pay for top players now. It doesn't have to be the 150 grand. But you need a ready-made midfielder. Tchouaméni's the man. Not so keen on Camavinga. He got dropped from the French squad, didn't he? He went and spent his time at Harvard Business School instead of
Really?
instead of signing up with the World Cup squad. Yeah. Not like he had a choice, but yeah.
No. Yeah. It's the Camavinga one. I know he was offered to City. It seems like they're being touted around. The stories seem to be coming because, like you said, the green light's doesn't seem to have been given from Tchouaméni at all, does it? It all seems to be from United. We're interested, and he's going, oh, I'm all right. Camavinga one as well. It seems like Real Madrid are quite happy to let him go. But wages, once again, if they're going to be a stumbling block for everyone. What his agent will be looking at is Matheus Fernandes has been relegated twice, and he's on more money than the most of the United squad. So, what is he worth? He'll be like, well, I'm worth double that. Tricky situation United have put themselves in now.
It is, and I mean, when you look down this list of potential midfielders that have been linked to Manchester United within the last week or so, it doesn't make for great reading. I'm gonna go through the list, And first of all, what we'll do is I want you to rank them in what tier they would be. So we'll do tier 1 to tier 3. Okay. So
Okay.
tier 1 being you got to get them in. Tier 2,
Yep.
solid player, would be decent. Tier 3, we are supermarket sweep on the final day of the transfer window. All right. You ready? Let's go through them. So Carlos Baliba is another one that has been linked to Manchester United again, obviously because we went for him last year. Is he up there? Do they go back in for him?
I think they probably do, but tier 2.
Tier 2. Alex Scott and Tyler Adams. Now, before we move on to where you rate them, for me, I'm a bit worried that Alex Scott has turned into a tier 1 from the comments that are coming out of Manchester United because he wasn't tier 1 at the beginning of the season. He wasn't last season. He wasn't even on. He might have been scouted, and I know that he has been scouted, but he certainly wasn't up there as a we're going to splash 80 million on this player.
Nope.
So that worries me slightly. However, where do you rate him?
Tier 2 again. I completely agree with you, Nathan. It seemed like we were looking at world superstars, and then as a little bonus, we'll get an Alex Scott. Brilliant. I know we're all for it. I like Alex Scott as a player, but now it's like, well, Alex Scott's going to be coming in. No. Tier 2.
Yep.
Doesn't work.
Tyler
But
Adams?
I like him. I like Alex Scott. Tier 3. No, not good enough for me, Nathan.
Fair.
Not good enough for Europa League.
This name came up yesterday, day before, and I looked at it, and I know the data on him is strong. I know he's got Premier League experience, but when I read the report that said he wants to leave for first team football, that basically sent a shiver down my spine. But the player that I'm talking about is Andre Santos from Chelsea. It's rumoured that he's available for 50 million. But in terms of tiers, where are you putting him there?
7? Can I go to 7? I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. Andre Santos. Yeah, when you put it in, I was like, it's April. Check the date. Is it April Fool's Day? No. Andre Santos for 50 million. Are you having a laugh? No, mate. No. Just not having that at all. I don't know who's put that there. Surely we can't be interested in Andre Santos from Chelsea and taking away someone that can't get in that midfield. I just don't. What's the thought process behind that? Can you understand it? Surely that's his agent. It's got to be, hasn't it?
It's not though. Manchester United are keen on him. That's the thing. The data shows that he's a top boy.
This is starting to do my nutting. This data thing. Just
there we go.
Come on.
There we go.
Use the eye test. Use the eye test instead of this data. Formula One, man. Please, come on. Go and speak to some football lads.
The thing is, I've seen the eye test on certain players on YouTube where their highlights reel has completely lied to me about the player that we're getting. So you can't always trust the eye test, but I do.
When they say data, I've got a feeling they mean wages. That's frustrating.
Numbers, quite literally numbers. Yeah. Fair.
What wage is that man on? Well, he's on 90 grand a week. Oh, he's in our price bracket. Let's go and have a look there.
Oh, grim. Right. Okay. Let me power through this list and then we'll come back to any of the ones that you want to talk about in more depth. Yep. This one, I saw this one, and I think it was Laurie Whitwell that mentioned this on the Athletics podcast, Talk of the Devils podcast. Shay Charles at Southampton. Now,
it's go on.
Decent player, but I mean, if Andre Santos is on tier 7, where's he? Where's Shay Charles on it for you?
It's just a random one, isn't it? He has been linked before, though, hasn't he? So they've obviously looked at him, but I think a lot of other people. But it has to be a 3, doesn't it? I think we've got. You don't know where his ceiling is. I can't say I've watched him a lot, but you're not telling me he's much better than Jim Thwaites, because Jim Thwaites is class. But
I think a lot of our sentiment
down that route, or
exactly. I think a lot of our sentiment is coming from the disappointment of not getting a tier 1 midfielder and then being linked to these names. I think if they'd have come in, as you mentioned about Alex Scott before, as being a supplement to an Elliot Anderson, we're getting Anderson and we're getting an Alex Scott. If they'd have come in as that, you'd have been like, brilliant. We've played a blinder here. We got two absolute top players, top midfielders, and it's all good. But then when you start getting linked to these names and they become the more realistic options, I think it's natural for people to just feel a slight bit of disappointment. It's like asking for something for Christmas or your birthday, seeing it wrapped up, thinking that you're getting a telescope all wrapped up under the tree, and it's a bloody jumbo-sized Jaffa cake box, which actually happened to me from
Really?
one time. Yeah. If I
Let
was
me
getting a
throw this in.
telescope, I'd ask for one.
I did exactly the same thing at Christmas. Asked my mum for FIFA. She bought me Crash Bandicoot. Fuming. That's exactly what his transfer window's going like. So what
It's
I
not
did, I
even the same
completed Crash
genre.
Bandicoot. Completed Crash Bandicoot in one day. There you go. Rubbish app. Where's my FIFA? But yeah, it's going down a route of, is any United fan happy the direction we're going in? Shay Charles.
Was that
Charles
Bad
Shay.
Christmas 2025? That by the way.
Crash Bandicoot, good game to be fair. Good game.
Right, let's keep going down the list. This one, I'm not too angered about this one. I think he could definitely play a part, but still not feeling it massively. Sander Berge from Fulham.
I like him. I watched him a bit in the World Cup as well, and he's a good player, a good solid Premier League player. Tier 2/3, probably a 3 to be honest with you, Nathan. But I've always said on this podcast, I like him as a midfielder. Very good protector, good screen.
I saw some people comparing him to Nemanja Matic, saying
That's
that
not a bad shout.
Plays a little bit like him, but prime Matic, not
as mobile. Yeah, not a very mobile midfielder, but positionally wise, calm on the ball. Watched him, like I said, for Norway, and in that heat, just controlled the midfield. Seems to get in the way, position himself well. I would not be dead against him coming in. Like I say, 2, 3 for me.
Yeah. Ayoub Bouadi from Lille, who's obviously had a fantastic World Cup with Morocco. He's done really well. So for me, we might differ on this one, but I've got a feeling we might be on the same page in terms of tiers. Where are you having him here?
I'm going to put him a bit below Alex Scott. I think they're very similar players, but I'll go 2. But the money they're going to want, Dave. The money. Have you seen the prices that they want for him?
Yeah.
But it's a lot.
But is he 17 or 18?
18.
For me, he's tier 1. I just think his ceiling's unreal. I think he could be superb. I know it. In hindsight, going up against Bruno Guimaraes and Casemiro in that opening game for Morocco, he held his own against the two of them, and they're two Premier League proven midfielders. I think he's cut out to do that for a top team. I definitely see him in the white of Real Madrid at some point in the future. However, I think for me, he's tier 1. If United could pull that off, that is unbelievable. And I think he would go straight into the team as well, but he needs someone else alongside him. I don't think he's good enough to run it on his own. If it was him and Tchouaméni, for example, you'd be laughing. You'd be absolutely laughing. But in terms of potential, for right now, I don't think he's tier 1. But I think in terms of potential, if you could get him, he feels tier 1 to me. He feels like he's a top boy. Yeah,
got an expensive risk all over it for me, that Nathan.
Yep, 100%. I agree, but sometimes you've got to take a risk. Moving on, Crescencio Somerville. It's not a midfielder, but this is a midfielder. This one apparently is dependent on Marcus Rashford staying or leaving. Spurs are interested in Rashford, by the way, and I know we talked about this previously, but I've got a funny feeling United are going to try and reintegrate him into the squad. I've just got a feeling that's what they're going to try to do. Somerville, though, for you, again, a player that's been relegated. What are you feeling about him?
I like him as a player. He's just not going to win you the league or Champions League. So he's, once again, what's the ambitions of the club? Top 4 seems to be ambitions. I don't think with these players, this list that you've looked at, none of them inspire me to go brilliant. None of them. 2 or 3 against Somerville. He's not a top tier signing, and he's not one that you'd be like, yes, I'm so glad we've got him. You'd be like, decent player. Okay, yeah. Next.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
frustrating.
Exactly.
You can tell I'm frustrated by looking at the list. I'm looking at the names going, oh, is this where we are now? Yeah.
We're nearly at the end of the
Like you.
list, so we can go
Yeah.
back to any of them and talk
Go on.
about them later.
Somerville for you? I've just been reading Liverpool
stuff-
are interested in him as well now.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of the whiff of the Cody Gakpo's about it when we was in for him and
Yes.
then going to Liverpool. I think
Yeah.
Somerville could end up going to Liverpool. I think they probably would do that. Gakpo, weirdly, was linked to Spurs this week.
Yeah,
Like,
that was a strange
Spurs
one.
were after him. It is a
Spurs just
strange
after
one.
everyone, aren't they?
De Zerbi's
Junior Krupi as well.
managing. Yeah, De Zerbi's managing to convince these players of the project that's there, but I still think it'll blow up within 18 months. I think he's that type of character that stuff won't go right, big falling out, players on massive wages, and that's it. Crashes out. It's happened to Manchester United before. It can happen again. 2 goalkeepers. Again, these aren't to light any fires underneath us. Sam Johnston from Wolves, obviously a former Manchester United player, and Carl Darlow from Leeds. Again, I know we need potentially a backup goalkeeper, but when you see those names being linked, it just makes you sad, doesn't it?
You've got to have a chuckle, haven't you? So you're looking at all these players that are being linked around the world, and brilliant! And then all of a sudden you go, and United, pops up on your feed, and United are interested in, and you think, oh yeah, Sam Johnston and Carl Darlow, and you close your phone and just go and cry in the corner, don't you, for a little bit, and think, brilliant, thanks a lot, lads. Yeah, what we're going to talk about on the podcast this week, Nathan? Well, is this great transfer saga of Sam Johnston coming to United? Brilliant.
Can they get him? Can they get him? Can they prize him away from Wolves?
Will he take less than 150 grand a week? Shambles. Don't care as my backup goalkeeper, I'll be honest with you.
Well, one player that doesn't look like they're going to be going to Manchester United, even though they were linked to at the start of the summer, was Angelo Stiller, because apparently he's going to be taking Tonali's position at Newcastle United, because they've got the money to spend on him now. So I think they're going to go make a bid and see if they can get him in. He's a good player, but again, he's not. He's a risk. Like we said before, he represents risk. And he might come over here and he might not be able to handle the pace of it. But it just seems, it just seems like even that feels like a kick in the stones. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Even Angelo Stiller potentially going to Newcastle United feels like it's a rough one for United fans.
It's just really frustrating that if any club in the world needed at least 2 centre midfielders, maybe 3, and everybody else in the world is buying centre midfielders except United. And we keep hearing stories of calm. Oh, United are calm. United are happy with what's going on in the transfer window. They're quite happy with how it's ticking along. Behind the scenes, they must be thinking, "Oh, this doesn't look good here." Is there is there a name that just could randomly surprise us and we go, "Oh, I didn't even think about that midfielder"? Because I've been racking my brains and there's not. You look at the World Cup and you think there's not just a plethora of world-class centre midfielders, is there? Where you just think, oh, all of a sudden next week United come in. Oh, brilliant! We'll have him. He's definitely a tier 1 centre midfielder. There's not many around, Nathan. Not many.
I don't think so, no. And I think that's probably why the prices for these midfielders is so high, because they're specialists in very specific areas. So that's why we can't find someone else that isn't on this list. But out of those that I've listed there, you've got the list in front of you. If you can sign 3 of them, realistically, knowing the limitations of Manchester United right now, which 3 of that list of Manchester United targets would you take?
I would go, personally, Alex Scott. Tushimani would be your main one. So him, Alex Scott, and Carlos Baliba. I think that solves your problem, but that's nearly 300 million.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's why I said realistically, who would you get? Because that you're not getting all them three. I would say
No, Alex
for
Scott and
me,
Sushimane.
okay. So for three of them, I would say if you're going to get three, it's probably going to be Belieber, Santos, and Sander Berge. That's the three that you'll end up with, and that's a mid-table midfield. That's what I'm saying.
Yes, that is.
Um,
Yeah.
if it was dream scenario, I would say Chouameni,
Yep.
Buadi, and then you take a risk on someone like an Andre Santos if he's available. Because despite what we feel about him as a name, when you do look at his experience in the Premier League and who's ahead of him, is it Enzo Fernandez and who else is ahead of him? Caicedo.
Caicedo. Yeah.
Like you can make an argument for he's not going to get the opportunity to get in there. Whereas at Manchester United, there aren't that many players ahead of him, so maybe he could turn into that type of player.
There was a name that we were linked with 12 months ago, and we spoke about him quite a lot. Just seems to disappear since he got linked to the move to Atletico Madrid. I don't think it materialised. João Gomez was another
Yeah,
name, and it
yeah,
just seems to have everyone just brushing to the side and we forgot about him. He's better than them.
yeah.
He's a very, very good midfielder, but whether the Atletico Madrid move fell through and nobody's going near him again, but João Gomez would be another name I'll just throw in the hat there just because I'd put him as a tier 2 straight away.
I think João Gomez and Atletico Madrid are fairly close to a deal. I think it's not a case of if it happens, it's when it's going to happen.
Mhm.
I think there's still things that
That
they're
makes
trying to
sense.
iron out. With George Mendes getting his nails into Wolves as well, because that's what they sacked Rob Edwards after holding a press conference, not a press conference, after holding a AGM with the fans where they discussed going down, and the ownership was going to be they were going to back Rob Edwards to get back into the Premier League. They believed in him, the project, what he was bringing up.
Mm.
George Mendes has brought his client in there. I think I'm fairly certain he's one of his managers,
Got
and then
the boys in.
exactly, and he's been like that. George Mendes has been bringing Portuguese players to Wolves for a very long time. Jose Sarr, I think who else do they have there? Who's the lad that went to PSG from there?
Vitinha. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Neves.
Mm.
So
Yep. It's quite a lot.
Moutinho,
Yep.
Moutinho as well. I think was
Yeah,
there.
João Moutinho. Go on with the recall. Go on like that.
Yeah. So I think there's been and Semedo as well. He was there.
Yeah.
So I think it's I've gone off on a bit of a tangent here, but João Gomez, he's not going anywhere until George Mendes says so. I don't even think he's under his management, but it's one of those. I've brought the manager in. Don't worry, we're going to go back to the Premier League. Stay with us, or whatever else it could be. I'm basically just glossing over the fact that United have overlooked a decent midfielder in favour of
Yes.
Andre Santos. It's time for another go at Overrated or Underrated, the segment of Fergie's Gum, where we talk about a Manchester United player from past or present that we believe is overrated or underrated. It pretty much does what it says on the tin. So, who have we got this week? Last week, I believe, was... Oh, he's put him on the spot. He can't remember. Who was it? Last week.
Can't remember. Go.
It was Raphael.
Oh, yeah, of course it was. Yeah.
Raphael
You know
de
what
Silva.
my brain's like, Nathan. As soon as I fall asleep, I forget everything. Oh,
always like to test you, though. But we've got...
you good.
Who's the new one this week?
Well, I'll go through. So this man has made over 500 appearances for Manchester United between 1990 and 2002.
Wow.
Right, do you want to have a guess? You want to have a guess?
Back to
yes, this is going to test you. Whoa, what a shout that is. Go on, Nathan. 22 goals, winning 7 Premier League titles, a set-piece specialist. The versatile fullback also secured the FA Cup twice, the League Cup, and the 1999 Champions League. Great shout, Nathan. The man that we're going to be discussing, overrated, underrated, Dennis Irvine.
Underrated, end of segment. Right, moving on to the next thing.
Move on. Yeah.
You know,
yeah, you're right.
You know, the brilliant thing about Dennis Irwin is that when people like think about him, it's hard to pick out something amazing that he did. Do you know what I mean? He's not one of those flashy players, but he was that player that I'll say, I know it's a cliche, first name on the team sheet every week. Every single week, first name on the team sheet. Because you know that he's going to do his job diligently. He's going to do the necessary things that he needs to do up and down that left-hand flank. He's going to pop in with a penalty or with a free kick every now and again. And you won't get any arguments from him. He'll want that ball as much as anyone else on the pitch. And he's just a top professional. Absolutely top professional. Yeah, underrated for me. But I think the reason is, and a lot of these players fall into the same category, right? Whenever we're talking about players from past and present, it's all to do with like recency bias. So when we think about like, oh, who's the best left backs around, your immediate thoughts go to like someone like Roberto Carlos, right? Because they were one of a kind. They were getting up and down, they were scoring incredible goals. Everyone remembers that goal that he scored at Le Tournoi against France. He's scoring from the corner flag. He's doing all types of stuff. But when you think back to that time of football, when it was proper nasty football as well, from the early 90s, proper nasty football, kicking each other, kicking lumps out of each other, Dennis Irwin never got fazed by any of that. And he was just a top professional. And he made that team tick as well. You go into that game, it's like going over the trenches. I've never been in a war, but I've been close to one out here.
You have. Yeah.
I've never been on the front lines of a war, let's say that. But he's that type of person that if you know that you've got Dennis Irwin behind you, alongside you, you feel more confident in whatever you're doing. You're happy to move forward because Dennis is playing today. I don't think he ever got sent off, did he? I need to.
I'd have to check.
I need to double check. Yeah. But I don't think Dennis Irwin ever got sent off. Mate, he's one of my like beyond cult hero. I love Dennis Irwin. I think he's brilliant. I met him out here he was out here at an event ages ago that I covered, and I only had a brief chat with him. But it's just like you know, it probably wouldn't be the same if you met Phil Neville, but do you know what I mean? He's a kind of unassuming. He's an unassuming player for Manchester United. You wouldn't go, oh look, it's Bruno Fernandes. Oh look, it's Paul Pogba. It's like, oh, it's Dennis Irwin. You go over, have a little chat with him, and then off you go. Enjoy your evening, Dennis, and away you go. And even that, just like little interaction, was like brilliant. Top man. So yeah, underrated for me. If I click this up and people say that he's overrated, I will fight you wherever you are. Right?
What a fight!
Yeah.
Well, I put it on there because when you asked me the question, I thought, right, who can I put in there? And then the name Dennis, because we had Raphael, like you said last week, Dennis Irwin, and I knew it would be underrated because he has to be underrated because he is one of the best Premier League fullbacks ever. To be fair, Roy Keane always puts him in there ahead of everyone, doesn't he? Funny enough, he's a right-footed left back. Could play right back as well, but I think he moved to left back. I think Gary Neville would have moved into their right back, wouldn't he? But Dennis Irwin, what made me put him in there was I thought, how much would he be worth nowadays? He's one of the first fullbacks I picture bombing on. You know, this overlapping fullback that seems to have been, Pep Guardiola brought. Did he? Pep Guardiola didn't bring that in. It was Dennis Irwin, one of the first I can picture, just bombing on.
Yeah.
There's a goal where Eric Cantona chips a ball over. Dennis Irwin just get overlapped.
Yeah.
Just kept going. He never stopped. He was up and down. And then I watched some of his highlights last night, and he's put in corners, free kicks and top bins, just screamers. Ended up on the back post. The volleys. Says here he got 22 goals, penalties, set pieces, corners, delivery, could cross a ball, could dribble, both feet. Dennis Irwin would be worth north of 100 million nowadays if he was around. Completely underrated. Gets overlooked for the best Premier League teams, but would be in there if you're a United fan of age. similar to ourselves,
Yeah.
he would be in there. Definitely. Ashley Cole, probably the best left back that I've seen naturally
Consistently.
left back.
Yeah.
Consistently, yeah, but Dennis Irwin was 100% up there with Ashley Cole, if not better, because Ashley Cole couldn't put free kicks in the top bins like Dennis Irwin could.
Yeah, but
More to his game,
exactly.
like you said, first name on the team sheet. I'm not going to disagree with that because you'd say first name on the team sheet, he gives you a 7 out of 10 every week. Dennis Irwin will probably give you an 8 out of 10 every week. So yeah, top class, really underrated, and you would love to have. You would, like you said, you would love to have him in your team. No wonder Roy
I
Keane
think
puts him there. I know they're good mates, but Roy Keane throws him in there every time, doesn't he? That says a lot.
even Sir Alex Ferguson like sings his praises whenever he talks about the old days. You know, he does wax lyrical about Dennis Irwin. I was looking at this while you was talking. I was just trying to check out whether or not he'd been sent off or not, and he had. He was sent off
Really?
once, I think, in his career. It says here when he missed the FA Cup final against Newcastle in '99.
Oh no! Right? Really?
Yeah,
Really? Okay.
yeah.
Well, I was
He
reading
was
last night. Sir Alex Ferguson puts him as his best signing. 625,000 from Oldham.
what a
Bargains.
signing! What a signing!
Bargains.
Did you ever used to go and watch Oldham, by the way?
No, Berry. Used to go and watch Berry. So boo the
I u-
Oldham.
I-
Boo the Oldham.
used to go and watch.
Shakers.
I used to go and watch Oldham. Used to go and watch Rochdale as well. Oldham back when
On that
Andy
plastic
Ritchie was
pitch.
up front. Yeah, Andy Ritchie up front. He's got no hair, but we don't care. So yeah, so yeah, that was
No,
the good old
I'm a
days.
Shakers boy. Yes.
Yeah, fair. But yeah, Dennis Irwin, undisputed, underrated player for Manchester United, and the reason why that is because he did everything brilliantly, but he was just never flash about it. A couple of weeks ago, we did a little feature about the sliding doors moments for Manchester United when they didn't sign their number one target and they ended up with someone better, I guess. And we also did a little bit of when they went for their number one target, missed out, and ended up with someone much worse. So the comparisons that we had was like when we missed out on Ronaldinho, we ended up signing Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, in terms of working out in a bad way, I thought it'd be worth just trying to revisit this moment where the summer of 2023, Manchester United, Eric Ten Hag is desperate to sign a certain someone. And that certain someone was Harry Kane. Instead of spending, I know that Spurs wanted 100 million for him at the time because they didn't want to sell him to another British club or a rival in the Premier League. United should have, I believe, paid that money for Harry Kane. However, at the time, it kind of made sense because all the rhetoric around Kane was that he was finished, that he was going to Germany, going to Bayern Munich with his legs half hanging off. He was a waste for England. You must remember some of these qualifiers that England played before they went to this World Cup, where he looked out of sorts and people were like, he's done, he's cooked, he's never getting back to where he is. And instead of signing Harry Kane, we ended up spending almost 72 million on Rasmus Højlund, who's no longer a Manchester United player, but is now of Napoli. Harry Kane, since then, Mr. Paul Cropper, 147 games, 146 goals for Bayern Munich. If there's ever a bigger missed opportunity for United, I would like to hear it because I can't help but think where United would be right now if they if they had Harry Kane in their ranks.
It knocks you a bit sick when you think about it, doesn't it? Because it was such an obvious one to do. I mean, I know, what's his name at Spurs didn't want to sell him to us.
Daniel
No
Levy.
longer there. Yeah, Daniel Levy. Didn't want to sell him. Wanted top money, top thing. It was just such an obvious one, Nathan. That's what's frustrating to me. That we all were like, we'll just do it. Even I've got mates that aren't United fans, hate United. They were like, he's going to go to United. Isn't he? It's just
Mm.
he is a Manchester United player, and there's a list of these players where you go Bellingham, etc. Rice. They are what we would say are Manchester United players. We just miss out on them nowadays. And Harry Kane, if he came in, would have brought the record, which is what I thought was going to be done. He will come in. He'll want to stay in the Premier League. He will push us on to, yes, we will challenge for trophies, which if you've got a goal scorer getting, because Harry Kane, there's not many players in the world guarantee you 25, 30 goals a season.
No.
He does. No matter if he's got one leg hanging off, if he can't run, he's still going to score 25, 30 goals. And that type of player is priceless. So you go and pay that money for Harry Kane. You give him, he's not going to accept 150 grand a week in Ineos. You go and give him the 300 grand a week that everybody's willing to pay him in the world, and you just bring him in and you win things. When you score goals, you win football games. And it's such a big sliding door moment for United. Such a silly one to let it fall through the grasp. But there's numbers of them. There's a number of them. So if you can go back in time, you bring Harry Kane through the door. You see him in a red shirt. I'm not guaranteeing we win a Premier League, but we'll be a damn sight closer to Manchester City and Arsenal than what we are now and what we have been for the past 4 or 5 years.
Do you know what the interesting thing is? I still think he could come into Manchester United and still do a job now. Like even if he sees out his contract, I think he's got one more year on his contract at Bayern, hasn't he?
Yes.
I would take him after that.
Oh yeah,
I would take him if he left on a free transfer next season. I would take him on a free transfer because we had on our radio show we had Matt Loughton on, former Burnley defender. I know he's not like he's no expert in scoring goals. However, he only scored 4 goals in the Premier League. I think it was 2 headers and 2 volleys. Like you can't get better than that, really. So never scored a goal that never scored a goal that was off the ground. That was on the ground when the ball was on the ground. Sorry, but he pointed something out. We was watching the England game versus DR Congo, and he said even before he scored, watch Harry Kane. One of the weird things about him is he never takes his eye off the ball when he's shooting. Doesn't look at the net, doesn't look at the goalkeeper. He's only looking down. You watch that second goal that he scores against the Congo. He's just looking at the ball the entire time. It's instinctive. He knows where the net is, and he just blasts it home. And that's the instincts that you can't teach. You really can't teach that. Benjamin Sesko could turn out to be one of the best strikers that Manchester United have ever signed, but that natural talent and the ability to just be able to turn the ball into the net wherever you are on the pitch, you still have the pace to get around those players as well and blast it into the top corner. Mate, Harry Kane should have been... I honestly believe Eric Ten Hag would still be in a job if they'd signed Harry Kane.
That's not a bad shout at all, mate. You saw me chuckling, then you're probably wondering what I was laughing at. I saw a stat last night and I was just double checking it. Harry Kane has scored 72 goals this season. Joshua Zirkzee got 2.
Yeah.
70 goals difference. 70. 7-0.
Yeah.
You know, when you see the thing will come up 7-0, 70 in there. That's unreal. 72 goals is unreal in a season. Unreal striker, ready-made United player. Unbelievable he didn't come. And like you said, still a slight chance he could come for the last 18 months of his career. You don't say no to Harry Kane.
I honestly think that he's looking at that Premier League record. He's behind. Is it just Alan Shearer he's behind now, isn't it? I think he will be now. Yeah, it's something like I think it's something like 40 goals that he needs. I reckon he can have at least 2 20-plus goal seasons at Manchester United. But yeah, if he was available on a free, you go and get him, because I still think you can't take the natural goal scoring ability away from him. He just has a habit of getting in the right place at the right time. He's not the fastest, but he knows where the space is, and that's exactly what he does. He just gets into that space. Can you say that about Joshua Zirkzee? Probably not. Can you say that about Benjamin Sesko? Might have the potential to be in the future, but right now, there's no better striker, I think, than Harry Kane in the world. Mbappe? But Mbappe's more of a hybrid striker where he plays off the left. He's bloody brilliant, Mbappe, but I think in terms of pure goal scoring strikers, Harry Kane's still number one for me. And if United had signed him, and they might still get a chance again after next season, but if they have a chance to sign him, they'd have been flying, absolutely flying. That's about it. Anything to add to that Harry Kane chat? Are you happy with that? Done.
No, I'm happy with that, mate. Yeah, you
Done.
don't turn a man like Harry Kane down. You get him in tier one.
Exactly.
Get him in that tier one.
Tier one. And to be honest, if you want tier one information about players that Manchester United haven't signed or have signed, then you need to make sure that you're subscribing to Fergie's Gum on YouTube, because we cover every single bit of news, whether it's relevant or not. We're always here every Wednesday talking about Manchester United in a way that is pretty much understandable. Try to cut out the jargon, although Paul did say, and this wasn't lost on me, plethora got an airing before.
Hey,
mate.
Did you like that?
Yeah. I can see the dictionary just out of shot, just below there. I could see what
that's the coconut. That's the coconut oil in the coffee. That it's got the old brain lubricated.
Hey, it worked. More of that, please. More of that. I'm looking forward to big words next week as well. So that's it for us. That's the end of the show. We'll be back again next Wednesday, or if anything interesting happens in between now and the next 7 days.
Centre midfielder, please.